we just are not ready to play against that defense. I thought we were going to be a little better, but we really just didn't do the things offensively. They're very difficult to play against. They're in the top 2 or 3 teams every year defensively. You don't want to play them the first game. Offenses take a little bit more time. I thought defensively we did okay, did a lot of the things we needed to do, but offensively we just really never got movement, and when we got it, we just really didn't get positive actions off the movement. So a tough game, tough team to play the first game, but we learned from it, and we won't play anybody better defensively this year except when we have to play them again. So I thought they'd be better defensively than last year. Because I know nobody will agree, Tony won't agree with me, but I think that we were able to get by Guy sometimes, and Jerome, you can't get by the little kid, and Key's a tremendous defender. So I think they're as maybe better defensively, at least they're at least as good, and offensively they don't make the shots that they have done, could do last year. You never want to play these league games early. It's stupid. It's just a money grab. They got scheduled games for TV, for the TV contract, so you got to play games early, and then somebody had the brilliant idea of opening up the first game with a league game. I just don't think it's good. I don't think it's smart. You want to build up to the league. The league's the most important thing, so why would you play the first game of the year in the league? Actually, in reality, they only got 10 offensive rebounds, which is really not bad. The reason they got so many rebounds is because we miss so many shots. We can't miss that many shots and be in the game. Our offense was just not good. And not that it's going to be tough against them, but it can't be that tough. You're never going to be prepared for Virginia. They're the best defensive team in the country, and year in, year out. And we did a pretty good job defensively, especially for a long point. They scored 10 points in the first 10 minutes. The problem is we scored 2. So, it's not defense. Our defense was respectable, actually a little better than that. We've got guys that can shoot. I've got to get them in better position to get them better shots, better looks, and we'll see how we can go in the next week or so to get ready. We play another NCAA tournament team next week, so we got 2 games in a row against NCAA tournament teams that we got to get a whole new look team, try to get them ready, and that we'll work hard this week, and we'll bounce back next week.
Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those 2 unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, please share it. The universal handle for the socials is @Cuse Militia. Go there, join the militia. We are the first Syracuse sports podcast centered around giving you, the fans, a voice. Welcome. Sorry, we're a day late. Joe had some family in town, so
yes,
that takes priority.
Yes,
and so we're here. We're here as soon as we could. We appreciate you tuning in. And James Zuba from NunesMagician is going to join us. We're going to play a little buy, sell, or hold, pick his brain a little bit about some Syracuse Orange basketball. And, we're going to be back here sooner than later, to give you the Colgate preview, which is Wednesday, right? Games are a week apart, right? Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're going to do all that. We're going to get into it all here in a minute. But first, as always, we got to give a shout out to the sponsors. The first one here I'm going to talk about, the show, is proudly sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Look, this is the #1 men's grooming kit, all right? It offers the precision engineered tools for your family jewels. That's why Manscaped has redesigned their trimmer. If you got the mower 1.0, I'm sorry. I am so sorry, because the mower 2.0 is out. It is waterproof. It has skin-safe technology, so the trimmer won't snag your bag, okay? And it also... It also is rechargeable. You cannot beat that, folks. Waterproof and rechargeable. So, and it won't snag you. So, accidents are a thing of the past. And as you well know, Joe, and I will say this every time we do this read here, you don't want to use the same trimmer on your shrimper
Yeah, we get
as
it.
you do on your face. Joe is so not entertained by the Manscaped read, but I know something. He's getting one for Christmas. I know it.
No.
He may end up with 2 because he's probably already bought his own. If you want to get 20% off and free shipping from Manscaped.com, go to Manscaped.com, use the promo code ARMCHAIR at checkout and get that 20% off and free shipping. You get the anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, get the cologne, get the plow, which is this is a two-sided razor. And I talked to my buddy Joey,
a farm tool.
Joey from the barber shop. No, I talked to Joey the barber. He says, look, man, just stretch the skin, go straight down, you're good to go. I said, so you don't use it below the belt? He says, bro, no, don't use that below the belt. What is wrong with you? So go ahead. I do my neck with it. It does a fantastic job. And hey, just stretch the skin.
It's used for sheep.
It is called the plow. I don't know. Again, get 20% off and free shipping. Use the promo code armchair at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com. Use the promo code armchair. Thank you, manscaped.com. All right.
Hey.
So,
Just so there's no confusion, it's waterproof and it's rechargeable. I would not suggest doing it at the same time.
You know what, Joe? Hey, hats off to Mr. Safety over here. That is a very...
OSHA.
Very good, Joe. I appreciate that. Keeping everybody safe. All right, look, here's the deal. Syracuse, let me start with this. I would be blowing smoke up of everyone's okay? And I'm going to own this. If I told you that I wasn't severely disappointed with the offense, okay? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I expected that because I didn't. So, there's that. I can admit when I'm wrong. And I got that one wrong. Very wrong. So, and as many of you did too, I'm sure. Syracuse gets dropped 48-34 against defending national champions UVA in front of a crowd of 22,518 at the Carrier Dome. This was the first Syracuse season opener loss since the 03-04 season, okay? The 34 points was the least amount of points a Syracuse basketball team has totaled under Jim Boeheim in his 44 years of coaching. So, and here's another thing, and I'm not going to double down when I'm wrong. I'm not that type of guy. This early conference play stuff, it sucks. Okay.
No.
Okay. Joe, that's what Joe said. He didn't like it one bit. I thought it was going to be exciting. I take that back. I really do. Syracuse shot 13 of 55 against Virginia, 23.6%. The Orange were 5 of 29 from three-point range. That was 17%. They were out-rebounded 47-28. This is a problem, I think. I don't know if it's a zone problem, Joe, or what, but it's plagued this team since I can remember. Virginia outscored this Orange in the paint 26-16, and I honestly thought it was worse than that watching the game. I thought it was, but I don't know. 10 points is still a lot, but I thought it was worse. 2 long scoring droughts, one in the first half, only 2 points in the first 11 minutes, one in the second half, where we come out of the half only down by 6, and Syracuse goes on about 6.5 minute run where they don't score, and then Virginia goes on a 16-4 run. And then, that was pretty much it. Dolezaj, he was not really himself. I don't think he was okay, but he grabbed 9 rebounds, but not much else. He played all 40 minutes, and this is where I'm really confused why Braswell did not hop off the bench. The Syracuse defense, it was pretty good. 16 turnovers for Virginia to 9 for Syracuse, which is excellent. I think the defense, if you're going to take something away, they played really well. I think the zone played really good, so that's important too. And while getting in offensive rhythm, as you heard Coach say, is a little bit more difficult. They did hold the Cavaliers to 48 points. That's pretty damn good, Joe. Under 50.
Yeah.
If you would have told me the first team to 50 wins, I'd have believed you. But neither one got there. So.
Right.
Thoughts, Joe?
Definitely. It was tough game to watch. Definitely. Again, I think it kind of played out. I thought we would have made some more shots, and I was hoping to keep it close. As a Syracuse fan, obviously you want to, but We knew the guys we were going to see with Virginia, and they're kind of just reloading. The only thing that I would say is I'm not so sold on the defensive performance. First game of the season against an 11-ranked team.
But we don't know their scoring.
We don't know their scoring situation.
Abilities.
I'm sure there's going to be there's going to be teams in the ACC that are better scorers than them. So again, it's the first game, and that's why I don't like it, because it's going to count toward the conference, and it's just not a true sample of what either team is going to look like. So it's just very hard to
absolutely. That defense, though.
After every game, if somebody wants to react, everyone wants to react, whether it's positive or negative, depending if we win or we lose, or who we play and how close it is. But it's just in basketball, especially college basketball, the season is so long, and your team is never the same team from the first game to the last game. Sometimes that can be a positive; it can be in a positive or a negative way, as far as better or worse. But that's just a tough team to start with. And I know, Boeheim said something about not being able to, you can never prepare for Virginia because how good their defense is. And I'd say the only thing that I would disagree with that is maybe just mental preparation, just offensive mental preparation, and obviously just team preparation and knowing what the roles, responsibilities, rotations look like. And again, this Boeheim's famous for it. The first non-conference, he plays a whole bunch of people, moves people around, rotates, and tries to see who clicks with who and who's got the hot hand and what people can do, and gives people opportunities and kind of rolls with the hot hand. And that's what you saw last night. I know some people might have wanted to see a little more, but again, it is still a conference game. So he's just trying to get a spark from somebody and see if they can't just win a game that I don't think anybody was expecting us to win. So,
yeah.
As far as that goes, we can sit here and we can talk about the numbers and the stats and this and that. I just don't think it matters that much. And sadly, the silver lining for me is that we're not like an NC State where we had an injury. They had an injury, or
right.
Lost to Georgia Tech. They say that NC State didn't get into the tournament last year because of losses to Wake Forest and Georgia Tech, and to have to play a fringe team like that, at least we played a team that people weren't, they're ranked, and they're going to be ranked, and people weren't expecting us to beat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you say we bring James on, Joe? Can we do that now?
Sounds good to me. Good to me.
All right, joining us now, Syracuse Orange basketball beat writer for NunesMagician.com, the one, the only, James Zuba. James, how you doing? At James Zuba, by the way, for all those curious.
I'm doing great, man. Friday night here. I just got home. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a little bit of banana mixed in. So I can't complain, man. I'm doing well.
There we go.
You animal. Well, I have to tell you now, I would have never brought this up before, but I had a peanut butter and fluff with jelly sandwich as soon as I got home from work today.
Oh, man.
The trifecta.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
That's the trifecta, guys. Come on.
I like it.
Try it, dude. I'm telling you. Look, James, says your Twitter bio says you're from the 315. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm very proud they're from the 315. Central Square area.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if you guys you venture up that far north, but, about 20 miles north of the city, and very, very proudly from the area. I love Syracuse. Still have a lot of friends up there. I live down in New York City now, but still a lot of friends, a lot of family, and a lot of people that I care very deeply about up there. So, great community. Can't say enough about Syracuse. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. I will hands down argue with anybody. Joe and I grew up in the village of East Syracuse. Well, yeah. Okay. I grew up in the village in Fremont, East Syracuse. We both graduated from ESM, and I will contend this is the best place to grow up. Seriously, it was awesome. It's nostalgic. I went home for the football game last week, and which was awful, but it was I still had a great time. It's nostalgic going to the Dome, somewhere we went as growing up and everything. It's really cool. So anyway,
I don't know. Being from the South, I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of miss the snow till I see it. So.
Oh yeah, well I don't miss the snow. It snowed in Syracuse today. So, Anyway,
we're into November, so that means snow. But
I know it.
Yeah, let's get to it. What do you guys got?
So 5-star power forward Isaiah Jackson, he's set to announce this Saturday, I think at 2:30. He's got it narrowed down to Syracuse, Kentucky, and Alabama. James, how do you see it?
He does. Syracuse fans won't like me very much for this one, but I think he's going to Alabama, believe it or not. And, if you look on its face, Kentucky certainly, that's the primetime destination for a top-ranked recruit. And Syracuse historically, no doubt, a bigger program than Alabama. But I think when you look at it, Nate Oates just took over that program. And as we know, he coached around the Detroit area at Romulus High School for over 10 years. He coached high school basketball there. So he has a lot of inroads and a lot of ties with people in that area. And of course, that's where Isaiah Jackson is from. And I think when you look at it, he really enjoyed his Alabama visit, and he did really enjoy his Syracuse visit as well. His father had some really good things to say about the program and the family atmosphere and all those things. So I think Syracuse does have a shot. I certainly think Kentucky has a shot as well. But I do think if I'm going to lean one way or the other, I think he's going to go to Alabama.
Still good to get in the top 3 recognition. I think that's important. We've had a few of them, but we haven't pinned any down. But I guess it's okay to be there, right?
Right. And no shame in that. And Syracuse already has 2 guys coming in next year. You secured a commitment at forward from Woody Newton, and you also got a commitment from Kadari Richmond the other week, who's a 6'5" combo guard who, fits the mold of what Syracuse is looking for, that kind of guard and all those things. So not all is lost on the recruiting front. I know people are upset about, you're going to go 0 for 2 on the Jacksons this year, I guess. Andre's going to UConn. And, if Isaiah does choose another school, you're going to go 0 for 2 there. But, not all is lost on the recruiting front. And certainly this program's not recruiting at the level that it once was. But they're still in these conversations. They're still in the mix with these guys. So, it's not all is lost there.
Your thoughts. And Joe, I want to get yours too. I kind of know yours a little bit, but we haven't talked about it yet. Your thoughts on opening the season with a conference game, James? Is it stupid? To quote the great Jim Boeheim.
It's a money grab. Hey, I have, Boeheim's right. Like, say what you will, and he might have rubbed some people the wrong way with that one, but let's call a spade a spade. This is exactly what it is, and it's a money play. The ACC network is new, and you got to get your subscribers. You want to get people to call on the cable company and say, hey, why don't you have the ACC network? We need that. And that's what this is. It's all about, marketing up the game and getting subscribers for the network and that sort of thing. So, I think from a fan perspective, it's great to get excited about these kind of games and have a big event to start the year. But no, I'm not a fan of it just because you have, you're going to 20 league games this year and you have one to open the season, one in mid-December, and then all the rest of the games after January. So it doesn't really make sense to me from that point of view. And then, this is separate from the ACC, but when you have these big games to start the year, I was at MSG earlier this week for the Duke and Kansas game and, Michigan State and Kentucky. They're not very good games. So, you have a bunch of young guys and new guys stepping into roles and that sort of thing, and you don't get the best brand of basketball. So, I think it's cool. It's a novelty to have a big game to start the year, but at what cost? So ultimately, I'm not sold on the idea of these games.
Joe?
Yeah, James, I'm right there with you. I think that there's a lot of people that their answer would probably depend on whether we won or lost, right? But I think the way that we are looking at it is more or less those are important games, and like you said, yeah, it's a money grab, but you're talking about important games that mean something as far as in the conference, and they're going to mean something down the road. And you just get this watered down game of, you said. And it's just, like you said, at what cost? And I mentioned to Sean earlier, I'm kind of glad as far as the silver lining that it actually was somebody like a Virginia, because we could be sitting in a seat like NC State where they just got a loss against Georgia Tech when maybe they don't lose that game a month from now, and that might hurt them come tournament time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got to be honest, I was I was a little sold on it. I took the bait, and I quickly admitted my faults and reversed course. Obviously, James, 34 points, buddy. 34 points. It it's awful. It's terrible. So here's a question. Go ahead.
Wait. 34 points in the game? I thought it was the first half. 34 points in the game?
Yeah.
We're still waiting for halftime to end.
Scoring two points in 11 minutes, and they still couldn't double their first half total. It was, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to happen, but here's the thing: you had Mark. He played all 40 minutes, and he wasn't great. So, were you surprised that you saw 0 burn from Braswell at all? He's nothing.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, and especially considering just how much the offense struggled. 34 points, as you mentioned, and the lowest point total in Jim Boeheim's 44-year coaching career. And it extends well beyond that, back to World War II. Everybody's saying 1945 or whatever it was. So, Given that, I was surprised that Braswell didn't at least get a chance, just because he went out in the first exhibition game, and what did he have? He had 19 points on 7 or 8 shots.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, the game that he played that against D2 competition. Okay, fair enough, but. It did seem like a game where there was some opportunity for him, and he just never got in the game. So I was a little bit surprised there, just to see how much the offense struggled, and knowing what he can bring on the offensive end. I was a little surprised he didn't get any run.
Yeah, I was too. I really like him a lot. Joe's mentioned, he doesn't even know if he's going to be like he's a potential transfer. So Joe. Were you surprised at all? What'd you think?
Not really. I mean, I was surprised a little bit.
Wow, all right.
I mean, I was more surprised that Gary Ayer didn't play more. That was more my surprise than anything else. I mean, looking back on it, it does make sense, because as soon as Carey kind of made a mistake, or things were going stagnant with him, they kind of took him out for somebody else to try to get a spark offensively. And it wasn't like anybody was playing. I think Merrick played well, but he wasn't playing that great to where you couldn't have taken him out and possibly given somebody a chance, because nobody was shooting good. So you might as well. So
9
I can
rebounds.
See that logic.
That's what he
I can
did.
see that logic, but I would have assumed that Gary Ayer probably would have gotten more of that burn. But yeah, I can understand the logic, especially in an early game, to be able to throw Braswell in there, because nobody really was doing anything offensively.
All right, here we go. We're going to play buy, sell, or hold real quick. And then after this, I got another question for you, James. But here we go. This is how it works. 3 questions. You're permitted only 1 hold in those 3. You can't just hold them all, okay? Joe, you got that? Joe?
All right, yeah, I got that.
James, you'll go first. Here we go. On Twitter, at TomHartnett21, he says, so buy, sell, or hold. The team is better served with Mara coming off of the bench and Guerrier starting.
Ooh, man. You know what? I'm going to sell there, and not for the reasons that you might think. I think it's too soon to tell whether the team will be better with Marek coming off the bench or starting. And I'm not sure that necessarily matters so much. I think both of those guys bring a little bit something different to the table. But I don't necessarily agree that, who starts. I don't necessarily buy that, because Marek could play a little bit of center, and Guerrier could play on the wing as well. So, but I think it's too soon to come to any sort of conclusion. And those guys both bring a different skill set to the table.
Yeah, I would sell too, and I would sell because my number one reason is because Mark doesn't have a lot of those games. That was really bad, but he doesn't have a lot of those. He's usually at least assisting or creating turnovers. He didn't do a whole lot of that, but usually see more out of him. I think he's got the experience. I would keep him out there too. Joe,
sell.
Okay.
I have to go
sells.
three-peat with all y'all, but at the end of the day, like you said, if he played 40, him and Elijah Hughes were the only guys that played the whole game, so that just tells me that Jim Boeheim is going to rely a lot with him, and I don't see him not starting.
All right. Paul Esden Jr. on Facebook from Inside the Loud House. He says Jalen Carey is the answer at point guard. James.
Ooh, I'm gonna go hold for now.
Okay.
And
okay.
I would I would answer that with another question, which what is he the answer to? And I think that Jalen brings some very different things to the table. I think he's a different kind of point guard. He's a different kind of guard than all the other guards on the roster, and that, you know, he likes to get to the rim. He likes to get up and down, get downhill and finish around the rim and pull up for mid-range. So it depends what he's answering, but I am strong on Jalen. I do think he could have a good year. But it's a hold for now. We'll see what happens there.
By the way, real quick, James, you had a lengthy piece on Jalen Carey. What was it, last week?
Mm-hmm.
So
this past week, actually.
Yeah, everybody go check that out. I learned a ton of stuff there. What did you learn, James, in that, in researching that and getting that done?
Just how hard his come up was as a player, and how hard he worked. And I spoke with his dad, I spoke with his mom, and his dad was, just instrumental in who he is, and, why he is the way that he is. And I definitely learned just how much his hometown, Harlem, meant to him, and how much it molded him. And, just things like him saying, I was out there every day, working with my dad, getting shots up, whether it was in the snow or in the rain. And
his dad
just how hard his dad pushed him.
Yeah.
And what it took, the discipline and sacrifice, just, commuting 2 hours a day. Just to get to New Jersey to play high school basketball, to be in a better league and get more exposure and those sorts of things. So there was a lot of sacrifice and a lot of effort that it took to get to where he is now at Syracuse.
Grew up playing and practicing on the same court as Pearl Washington and Autry, right?
Yeah, very, very cool too. That's something I didn't realize as well. And he would say that, we go to the Kingdome and get shots up, and I'm like, wait, the Kingdome? Like, that's, he lived right there, and that's where Pearl used to go. That's where Autry used to go. And Autry also knew Jalen's dad growing up. So,
oh, no kidding.
They were familiar with one each other. Yeah. So a very, very cool dynamic. Autry was a couple of years older, but they played basketball with and against each other as kids. So when Jalen was being recruited by Syracuse, they sort of got to reminisce on old times and growing up. I don't think they were that close, but they knew who each other were, and they knew each other well enough to where there was a little bit of a connection there. So that was kind of cool.
The other thing I learned from that real quick, and I'll go to you, Joe, is that Washington rode a motorcycle. I had no idea. Was I supposed to know that? I had no idea. He rode his motorcycle to the court.
I didn't know. When I was doing research, I came across the slam piece, and I was like, man. Like the way that I forget who was interviewed, but the way that this guy said it was like, Pearl would show up on his motorcycle. He said, with a fly girl on the background. He'd show up at the Kingdome, drop 55 points, and then he just left like it was nothing. Like
that's awesome.
Was like already sort of a New York City legend before he got to Syracuse.
That's awesome, Joe. Jalen Carey is the answer at point guard.
I can sell more than once, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking about verifying the rules here.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to say sell, and it's not because I don't think that Jalen Carey can get the job. That I think that it's because I think that we do have 4 capable guards, and I think that it would be not in Jim Boeheim's interest to allow them to not all be a part of this team. As far as I think that the depth can really make this team better than just, how usually he's Howard 38 minutes. There's so many people get so many minutes. You know what I mean? I think that this team would be better served with a good rotation and Boeheim figuring out a way to use all 4 of those guards than the way that he traditionally does it. I just don't see huge gaps between all of them, and I think that they all kind of got their own little thing that, depending on the matchup, can work better than maybe somebody else's skill. So that's why I sell.
I get you.
I'm going to hold. I'm with James, but I maybe for a different reason. And I think Carey, last year, he made me really nervous bringing the ball up a lot of times. And a lot of times he made me nervous in fast break. And he made me nervous driving the lane. He made me nervous a lot with the ball. I think he's a little bit better this year. and I want to give him a little bit more time. So I'm going to hold on that. One thing is for sure, though, and that is that Gerard is fantastic with the ball. I just think that Jalen's experience might be to his benefit this year. So I would hold on that. That's me. Last one. Last year's basketball team averaged 69.7 points a game. This year's team will average more. James.
I will buy that. And I do think this is a better offensive team than what Syracuse had last year. 69.7, that's also somewhat of a low bar. So, I'll buy that. Obviously, they have some work to do trying to make up for that 34-point showing in the opener, but I buy that.
All right, Joe?
I'm going to hold.
Oh, boy. That's his hold. Okay.
That's two holds, right? Is that two holds?
No.
I did two cells.
I did two cells.
Yeah.
That's
so, no, my whole trying to get me. No, I'm only going to say hold, and only because I saw too much of, even though same or different players, it kind of looked too much like the same offense as the last couple years, and we don't have as many good one-on-one players that we did, like Brissett and Battle. So again, Jim Boeheim, he acknowledged the fact that he's got to put his players in better positions to score points. But until I see it, I'm going to have to hold.
Well, Joe's making me double guess, but I already held. So
Yep, you did.
So I did. But you bring up a great point, and it reminded me of what happened during that game is when they stopped even bothering with any type of picks, and they were just, handing the ball off like it was a medicine ball, like they were freaking working out with it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it made me a little nervous, but I'm going to chalk that up to the Virginia defense. I agree with Coach. I don't think we're going to be playing another defense like that probably until we play them again. I would buy that. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to buy this as well. I think this team will average more points this year. I think that was just that was probably the worst case scenario for an open to a team that's been hyped about its offensive play. It's probably the worst case scenario for them. So I'm going to buy that. I think we pull off over 70, I'll say. So that's that. James, I got one more for you. I just want, what were your takeaways, if any, from UVA? And are you trying to set any expectations? Do you have any idea what things might look like going forward?
My biggest takeaway is that there shouldn't be too many takeaways from it.
Okay, there you go. Exactly.
We saw a lot of takeaways, like the sky's falling, the offense is terrible again. It goes back to what the offense has been for the last 5 years. And to that, I said, on the Nunes podcast as well, is like, those people might be right. Like you might be right, but I think it's just too soon to draw any sort of conclusions about that game because you're dealing with a Virginia program that, since Syracuse joined the ACC, has been a top 5 Ken Palm defensive efficiency team every year, except for in 2016, I think they were number 7. So, everybody knows this is what Virginia does. They make it tough on you. They play the pack line. They cut down those passing lanes. They cut down those driving lanes. It's very difficult. That's what they do. That's their MO. So to that, I would say, let's wait and see how they play over the next 4 games before heading down to New York City. And, there might be some things that they have to adjust to. But, I'm almost willing to throw this game in the trash and say, okay, we start the season officially against Colgate on Wednesday. We'll see how the team looks, and then we'll make some more accurate opinions.
Right, because it doesn't really hurt us right now. I don't think it will hurt us at the end of the day. You lose to Virginia. They're probably going to be a good team this year. We like I said, we don't know what their offense really looks like, I don't think. But like Coach said, the offense takes longer to come to fruition, and you can say the same thing about us. So, yeah. James, we appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. That was excellent. That was our first big buy, sell, or hold deal. So, and I asked I liked it. I asked the everybody on social media, and look, this is how you play it. That's how you play it, guys. Because nobody had any idea. They thought I was. If you go through
There
and
were
read
some confused people.
right, Joe? Because
Yeah.
they thought I was like bashing the team. I was getting fan shamed on social media today. I'm like, no, you asked the question. I'm not saying anything. So
They're like, so. It's like, no, that's not what we're. Okay.
So
Talk about the team and talk in a way that I agree about it with you.
yes,
Especially that
What do
time of year. It's
well,
like
hey,
everybody wants to talk about Syracuse, but only if you agree with me.
yeah, the
Yeah.
fan shaming. I mean, it's reached peak height. But
You're not a real fan.
yeah.
Oh, here we go with the real.
There's a little bit
You're
of
not
that.
a real fan.
Yeah. Well, it's always been, and that brings me to this. All right, one more question. You grew up in Central Square. Have you ever met a more fickle fan base than Syracuse fans?
Oh man, I gotta say no. I'm sure it's out there. I mean, Kentucky's like a big fan base, and they had that thing where what was the ref that had like the bad call in the Final Four, and people were like giving his business negative reviews on Yelp and all that.
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
So I don't know. I mean, there's some pretty fickle fan bases out there, but this one, I don't know, man. You get both ends of the spectrum and everywhere in between and all kinds of things. And
Yeah.
you see some stuff. So I don't know, man. If there's a more fickle fan base outside of Syracuse, I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah. And there's not a lot of diehards, and that's the thing. Because it's like they have a good year last year, and then all of a sudden you see everything.
The fair weather.
Yeah, the fair weather part. And it's just like, and then you see a fan base like Florida State where they're willing to come together and get $20 million together to buy out Willie Taggart's job. So
That's a dedicated fan base.
Fan base, and so.
Yeah. Well, James, again, we thank you. We would love to have you back on. We would love to have you back on.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Okay, awesome.
Anytime. I'm getting to some games this season, and it's we got a lot of season left ahead of us. So anytime, I would love to. I had a blast, and I love the buy, sell, or hold segment. That's great. I love that.
Awesome. We will definitely do it again.
Cool.
Remember, James, you do the Snow Angels on center court of the away teams. keep it up. Keep it up. Okay, because it's brilliant. I love it.
Love it.
Hey, so I'm gonna get kicked out one of these times. That's kind of the goal. I want to just do it until I get yelled at.
You really tried at Duke. You did.
Just pushing the limits.
I did. No, nobody said anything to me yet, so we'll see how long I can get away with it for.
All right, at James Zuba on Twitter. That's SZUBA. Go there, give him a follow. Check him out on NunesMagician, and check out the podcast, NunesMagician. Troy Nunes is an absolute podcast. Thank you, James. All right. I want to thank James for coming on. You know who else I want to thank?
Stuff.
Yes, it was. It was excellent, and I can't wait to have him back. You know who else I got to thank though, Joe? You know who. Don't play dumb with me. My bookie. Listen.
No, you're gonna thank me. Thank you.
Listen.
Oh.
No. Wrong again. Listen, my bookie, the premier online betting sports book. Go there, check them out. If you know what betting online is all about, then why not try my bookie if you're not already? I got a killer deal for you. This deal's been going on longer than I ever remember it going. And here's the other thing: if you don't know what online betting is all about, then you should probably research it. Make sure it's right for you, and we'll take it from there. So. MyBookie, as I mentioned, the premier place to bet on all your favorite pro, college football action every weekend. They have the most up-to-date lines and the most prop bets of any sports book on the planet. So if you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and bet at mybookie.ag. If you're the kind of guy or gal who likes to bet a little and win a lot, try the parlay. Pick your locks for the week, put them together in one parlay bet, and if they all come through, the rewards will be huge, Tom. Huge. Tired of watching the games from the couch with nothing to gain? MyBookie wants you to get in on the action. Go to mybookie.ag right now. Use the promo code CHAIR. That's CHAIR, CHAIR. Use that promo code. They will match you dollar for dollar up to $1,000. Okay? If you're little peanuts like me, you do $50. Get for another $50. You're playing with $100. Try it out. Use the promo code CHAIR at mybookie.ag. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. Joe. What's
Yes,
up?
sir.
What's up, buddy? What's up?
Oh, I wouldn't be getting paid lately.
No, in fact, you're fired from that.
All right, so you can pick now.
I'm just playing. I mean, I might have a better luck because if I'll just pick against what you pick. I mean, I already know what you're going to pick every damn time, so why not? All right, look. Do you want to do a little fan feedback? The buy seller hold was listen. Well, I mean, kinda. Let's do a little fan feedback. Let's do it. How about it, Joe? How about
Sounds good to me, man.
All right.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, y'all know the deal. Go to our socials at Cuse Militia on Facebook and Twitter, and we present to you an opportunity to comment and leave your thoughts. What you look for is thoughts on the game. You see that? You leave your thoughts. I circle roughly around 10 of them. We'll see what we can get through here. We ran a little long with James, which is totally worth it, but we'll see what we get through here, okay? At Kevin Craig 6 on Twitter. We lost 28 games over the last 2 years. This year we start 4 guys that were backups on those teams. Where? 4 guys that were backups on those teams. The freshman class has 1 guy that barely made the top 100. The talent level is not. Oh, I know what he's saying. The talent level is not close to what it once was. You win with good players. What he's saying is we're starting 4 guys who would be backups on the past couple years teams. So, Joe, look, obviously you win with good players. So we get a lot of 3-star guys. We get a lot of 3-star guys. And it's not about how many stars it is. It's about what fits the zone.
No, we get 4 stars too, and 5 stars are there. I mean, I get it. I get where you're going. But yes, we do recruit to the system, and sometimes that tends to bite us a little bit.
Exactly. So, and the system bites us too, by the way.
Well, realistically, recently, I think the main issues that we've been having pretty much since Rakeem Christmas is that we don't have a down low scoring. Like we just haven't had down low scoring whatsoever. It's few and far between, which means that you're relying on your other guards and forwards to play one-on-one, shoot from the outside, take it to the hole, just stuff like that. And you've just seen the difficulties of it. Our offense is what an offense looks like when you don't have any offense down low.
Yeah, and it's 1 game. I mean, so these are.
Well, I understand it's 1 game, but I'm just saying, like traditionally. I mean, do you see Sidibe turning around and being a double average machine for the rest of the year?
But I'm not huge on Sidibe either. Like I think.
Well, okay, but any of.
Well,
I mean, it just seems like we get these kind of tall, skinny guys. I mean, we used to get some guys that were sturdy that could hold their own down there, and they'd be able to score. And we just haven't had that.
At the big E_228. That was hard to watch. They are young and obviously not ready for a team like Virginia. Even still, UVA scores 48 points. If FU shoots 50%, they win by 10. Just hard game to watch. Tough week in the Dome. It was a tough week in the Dome. No defense. Well, no offense. No defense one time, no offense another time. To be fair,
broken.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, look, record's broken in both games. Oh, gosh. I didn't even think about that. At biggest Cuse fan, I think it's a mistake to take too much from this game. Their major players are very young, and other than Hughes, and they'll settle into their roles. The D was pretty solid. Gerard seemed to do a good job running the team and played within himself. Yeah, but right. I mean, he's a good ball handler, Joe, but I mean, we didn't see a ton of like what we expect out of Gerard. Fair to say? Well, I know I'm just saying. I mean, that's the truth. But I will say that when he says,
"But what do we expect? What should we expect?"
I didn't expect much. I expected more than what I saw as a team, but I don't set individual expectations for players. I just don't. I mean, that's too hard anyway. I mean, right? I mean, seriously. So,
Right, but until you can actually figure out what the roles and rotations are and actually put expectations on players,
right,
then how can you put the expectation on the team?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. He said the major players on this team are very young, and other than huge, they'll settle into their roles. So that's exactly it, Joe. They will settle in, and we just don't know what that is yet, to your point. At Donnie_Lake, I will give him a pass on this game, but I really need to see major improvements in the next game, or else it'll be a long season. 34 points? Seriously? I mean, the 34 points is a kick in the nads.
Yeah, that's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I just can't. Of course, there's always going to be reactions, but I'm not going to take anything seriously from this. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, even if we won, it'd be great, and obviously I'd be happy about it. But at the end of the day, I would still look at it with a grain of salt, because I would have looked at Virginia. I would have questioned Virginia and their talent and what they came and brought back, because it's the first game.
Yeah.
So that's why expectations, neither negative or positive, isn't smart to take out of this. You just hope that it helps the team by playing a team this good on defense, and maybe we can see some results from that in the next couple of games.
I've used this guy before, or I've mentioned this guy before, and I always have trouble with his name, but I'm going to go for it. At K Nabby Waniak. Okay? Kyle is his name. All right? Look. That's as best I can do. Okay?
Trust me, it is.
Would have loved to see what Gary A. and Braswell could do. Buddy and Mark just didn't have it tonight. Buddy needs to tinker more early in the season before he closes off the bench. Well, look, Buddy was off. Mark was off. Everybody was off. I don't know. I would have liked to seen Braswell. Joe, I know you're not big on that, but I would. I really would. And like James was saying about, he did score 19 points on one exhibition game, but we're looking at the talent. But the shots are there, I guess. I mean, I don't know how much you take away or how much you can really how much thought you can really put into that either. But it'd have been nice to see him though, right?
I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't go any ill will. I just base off what I see by the talent and the roster, and then what is going on and stuff like that, and based on what's happened in history of teams. And, I don't want to be able to tell you that I told you so at the end of the year, but.
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, there are no I told you so.
I hope I'm wrong.
At Terry Keys. 0 offense, just like the football team. There it is.
Boom.
There it is. If I wasn't using my phone, I'd have the soundboard up. I'd give you the old rim shot. Zach says, I see promise. D was great. It's clear we have more pieces to play with this year. We can figure this out. See, I'm with Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pieces are there. I think the defense looked good against probably what is going to turn out to be a mediocre offense. You've got, what's his name in the middle? Help me out. I was just talking about this with my brother at UVA.
Sadivi?
No,
Edwards?
No.
Oh. Huff?
No.
Giacchini.
Yes. He's a guy that can almost make those mid-range jump shots in the paint like every time.
Mm-hmm.
He's just really good there.
Well, that was the difference.
It was
they
the
had down low
difference.
scoring, we didn't.
Yeah, what was it, 26-6, and he was probably maybe the fourth scorer last year. Now he's going to be like the first, so they're going to rely on that a ton. That's going to be able to get shut down eventually. At some point, that's not going to work. They're going to have to rely on other guys to score. They really leaned on him hard for that game. So, we don't know what this offense is going to look like, really. So, and I agree. The pieces are there. We can figure it out. Brandon says, really good defense, and I think once we get going on offense, we will be very good. Again, the defense, I still think it was a very good showing by the defense, Joe, but what do you think? You were a little skeptical. You already touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, I just think, it's hard because you don't know. Judging Virginia, they have bigger guys than us, and they have some guys that can score around the rim, and that was the difference. They out-rebounded us, and again, I just don't know what to expect out of it, to be perfectly honest with you. And realistically, I mean, just people saying, "Oh, we're going to be a very good team," or this or that. I mean, we still have to look at the expectations, look at what everyone was expecting coming into the season. Like, we weren't ranked. People weren't expecting us to be ranked. Don't know what to think. And all of a sudden, there's this overreaction against Virginia in the defense. It just makes zero sense. We got a couple games here, 2, 3, 4 games against what our normal non-conference schedule would look like, and give our team a chance to go out there and grow and bam, figure it out.
Yeah. Steve says too much standing around on offense, no movement. Have to make better use of picks that were set, and they, like I said earlier, they just quit doing that and they just stopped. This team needs to develop. Defense was okay. Yeah, he nails a lot of it there. Defense was okay, but right. And there was
then again coming off the picks, when you have the big men taking the picks, like when big men can't score, when they pick, then they're just going to double team the ball, the pass down low. I mean, that's where you saw us break it a couple of times when Gerard was in there, when Dolce would pick, and then he would get the ball off in time for Dolce to be able to get it and actually allow the defense to crash on him, and then somebody would be open. That happened a couple of times. But if you don't have a threat, if that person is making the pick isn't a threat on offense or with the ball, then you might as well not pick.
Yeah. Well,
especially against a team like defense that knows that.
Right, and it's just too easy to snuff out. Rocco, bottom line, we have no seniors, 3 juniors, and 9 sophomores and freshmen. 9 sophomores and freshmen. This is a building year. Hope we get to the tournament and get into next season with a chance to make some real noise. The team needs to forge an identity on offense, and that starts with figuring out who the pieces are. The cupcake games will be very, very good for the team, and I think we'll figure out a lot during that stretch. They'll help us when we get back to ACC play. So there's another early ACC game against Georgia Tech. I think it's December 8th. So we've got about a month. Got about a good little stretch of some cupcakes, if you will. But right. As no seniors. And it is kind of a rebuilding year. He says a building year, but yeah. It is kind of a building year, and next year is going to be great. We heard the early rumblings, Joe, of Guerrier being projected in the NBA draft as a first-round pick, I think going 28th or something like that. So,
I'll hold.
Yeah, right. You already held today. You can't do that. Jeez. Oh, there he is, folks. There he is.
I almost made it.
He never lets me down. So anyway, you get my point. That's it. That's all I circled. We got through that. I could do more though if you want. Peter says, thought we were supposed to have a top 10 team. Didn't look like a top 30 team. Peter, Joe, who said? Mark on Facebook brings this point up. That's why I'm going to bring it up now. Who said we were going to have a top 10 team? Did you ever hear that once?
No.
No, neither did I. Peter,
to be perfectly honest with you, I would expect this year, honestly, I would expect where we've been the past couple of years. If not, maybe even a little worse. I mean, this is one of those years where we're so young where we really don't know. Now, I think the ACC might be down a little bit this year, so that might help us. But at best, I see a team that's going to be watching the TV on Selection Sunday nervous and on the bubble.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be 3 years in a row, right? So,
no.
It is what it is. Look, hey,
if that offense doesn't pick up, it might be worse.
Yeah, and Joe's not very confident in the offense. He's not. Just throwing that out there. But I get it. It's kind of made me double guess myself, actually. So
when you have that many points that leave, and then this many young players, and you don't know. I mean, you have 4 capable guards, a guy, some older forwards that you want to play because they know the system and the defense. And their experience, but then you have other guys that, like a Guerrier, where they're talking, first round pick NBA next year. You got to figure it out, and it takes time to figure it out. So I'm just saying that I'm not very confident with it, obviously, because I haven't seen it. Virginia or not, I just think Virginia's defense, it had a reason, but we still need to figure it out and get an identity. Both our offenses in football and basketball right now are in the same situation.
Yeah, ain't that funny? I mean, not ha-ha funny.
Ironic funny.
Weird funny. Yeah, so, all right. Well, I want to thank James Zuba at James Zuba from NunesMagician for coming on. And he was supposed to be on yesterday, and he was nice enough to reschedule for us. So we appreciate that. I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank all of you for participating in the fan feedback. And remember, the buy, sell, or hold means you present the question. Unless it's a poll, you present the question. Okay? Thanks to my bookie. Thanks to manscaped.com. And thanks to James on guitar. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.